Do you believe that this spending review plus her budget past and budget future can deliver that growth?
Well, all the evidence so far is definitely not. I think of the spending review, you have to ask a couple of questions. One is, where is the money coming from? And where it's been coming from is huge taxes. You mentioned national insurance, that's £25 billion worth of taxes on businesses that has been destroying growth, and a huge amount of borrowing. Now, that borrowing is having consequences in terms of higher inflation in the UK than would otherwise be the case, and therefore interest rates higher for longer. And it's adding to the debt mountain, the servicing costs upon which are running at 100 billion a year. That's twice what we spend on defence. So I'm afraid the overall economy is in a very weak position to withstand the kind of spending and borrowing that this government is announcing.
But with respect, Mel, at the moment, the pound is pretty steady. The bond markets are pretty steady, and neither of which we could say are after the Liz Truss quasi-Kwarteng budget as well. And I know you've said that was a mistake, the way that was handled as well, and its relationship with the markets as well. But having said that, if growth can be delivered, and there are enormous numbers of infrastructure initiatives which the government has talked about as well, which they said will drive that growth, then this will be a recipe for longer-term growth, won't it?
Well, no, not if you're building an economy on a very fragile basis. So we've just seen the GDP figures out in the last hour for April, which with the economy shrank by 0.3%. That's far worse than most economists were expecting. Look, if you go back to the budget from last year, the Chancellor had some fiscal headroom against her fiscal targets there. All of that was blown and more. She rebuilt it in the spring, but most economists feel that that will have evaporated and more come the autumn, when she'll probably, almost certainly actually, have to come back with even more tax increases, which in turn, of course, will be a dampener on the economy. So we've ended up in a very fragile situation, particularly when you've got the tariffs around the world. She'll probably have to, at some point, look at maybe spending more on defence, which is not baked into the numbers at the moment. She's done a U-turn on means testing winter fuel payments. That's over $1 billion. That has not been accounted for or funded for. These are all pressures which, given the way they've mismanaged the economy, I'm afraid are going to be very, very difficult indeed.